Hi, are you a little bit rusty on Excel? Forgotten how to use some of the formulas? Forgotten how to use some of the techniques? Used to know them when you first started working? Can't remember them now? This video could be just for you. Have a look at the date of birth column here. We've got a little bit of ambiguity here where that's the 1st of March 1977, or maybe if we're in America that's the 3rd of January 1977. Not absolutely certain. Let's just highlight the whole column, right-click it, format the cells, choose a date format and something like that, and say OK. Well, it's done what we asked it to do, but it's not quite what I had in mind. Look, we've got September as opposed to Sept, and December as opposed to Des. And that way we've got a very wide column. Wouldn't it be nice to have that just take the abbreviated form of the month? I right-click it and format the cells, and I look for a suitable format here, and actually there isn't one. Oddly enough, we have to go into Custom and scroll through some stuff here until we come up with DDMMMYY and click OK. That's a little bit better. Column is still too wide. I double-click on the edge of the column, and that reformats the width for me. And that's much more what I had in mind. Now, these last two column headings here are left aligned, whereas the text beneath them is right aligned. Highlight them, right-click, format the cells, and go to Alignment, and then we will have the horizontal alignment not as general, but as right, and OK. And that's a little tidier, isn't it? Okay, let's do some maths now. I'd like to know what the total amount we're going to be spending on salary is. That becomes equals SUM, the sum between here and here. And I just dragged that down with the mouse with the left button still pressed. So I'm adding up between G3 and G16. G3, G16, close the bracket and press return. And that gives me 4256. Well, it's a bit complicated if we haven't got the commas in our thousands. Let's just highlight the numbers there, right click them and format the cells, and we're going to choose a number format using the comma separator but without the decimal places, and click OK and have a look at that. We've now much easier numbers to deal with, 425,636. Well, that's the total sorted out using equals sum. Let's find the maximum, and that becomes equals max, open bracket, the same range again here, close the bracket, 38,000 odd, and min becomes, not surprisingly, equals min, open bracket, and close it, 23,000. Average equals AV, starts to fill it in for you from here. Be careful, I've picked the wrong area there, haven't I? Very easy to make a mistake like that. And close the bracket. And the average is roughly 30,000. Okay, now what I want to do is to give everybody a bonus of about, shall we say, 10%. And to do that we say equals this figure here, their salary, multiplied using the star key, and then type 10 divided by 100 and press return. And that gives 3046.8. I can then click on the figure I just calculated, and if you just move the mouse over the corner here, it turns into a plus. Drag that corner down to the bottom of the list and let go, and it copies it automatically for us. So what started as G3 multiplied by 10 over 100 becomes G4 multiplied by 10 over 100, right the way down to G16 multiplied by 10 over 100. Well, that works quite nicely, except we realize that I've hard-coded the 10 for 10% into the formula. If I change this 10, nothing will happen because I haven't made it as part of the formula. So I'm just going to modify this format. I'm going to kill that 10, so it's multiplied by nothing at the moment, and just click into there so that it becomes G3 multiplied by H2 over 100, and press return. Well, that seems to have worked for that, except the ones below it are all saying times 10, that's multiplied by H2, which I can put to 20% to prove the point. That works. Get back to 12%. That worked again. But of course I need to replicate that formula into the fields below. I drag down in the same way I did before and let go, and something very odd happens. Whenever you see a row of hash signs like this, it means that whatever Excel is trying to display in the cell is too wide to fit in the width that's been chosen. We've just done this a little earlier. We can double-click on the line between the H and the I, and if something even weirder happens. That's not what we wanted either. That's the formula we typed in to start with. G3 multiplied by H2 over 100. That is G3, that one there, multiplied by H2 divided by 100. Yes, that's correct, and it gives the answer we think it ought to be giving. Have a look at the one beneath it. That's G4, that one there, yes, multiplied by H3. Ah, look, that's H3. We wanted it to be H2. So it's multiplied it by the salary bonus from the row above. And here, H4, H5, H6, it's getting the correct number from the salary column, but it's moving down the list here for the bonus, where it should be sticking fast on the number 12 here. In other words, our original formula, G3 multiplied by H2, as it copies down, we want this G3 to become G4, G5, G6 as it becomes lower down the page. That's a relative move as it copies, but when we copy this bit down, we don't want it to be relative to the row that we're in, we want it to be absolute. And the way that Excel indicates that it's absolutely H2 is to put a $sign between the H and the 2, so it becomes H$2. Press return, and then I have to copy in the same way by dragging the little corner down. That's more like it. So our G4 times H$2, G5 H$2, yes, that's more what we were looking for. Let's get the column width correct as well, and that will do me very nicely. And okay, we might want to have a table of bonuses that could be possibly given to our people, say a 17% bonus here, and a 19% bonus here, and a 21% bonus here, and have the Excel formulas spread out into here. In a very similar way that we did before, I can take that there, and this time I'm going to copy across and fill it in. That looks quite reasonable, doesn't it? Unfortunately, looks can be deceiving. Our bonus figure should be going up, not down. So what's going on? Our original formula here, which was G3, the salary figure, multiplied by H2, which was the bonus figure. We used the $sign to hold the row in place as we copied down, has become H3 multiplied by I2. H3, there it that's the bonus figure, not the salary. So what's happened here is similar to what we had to fix before. Before we fixed the row number with the $, before the number, Here we want to make sure that the column remains in column G. So go to the original formula again, change that to $G. We put the dollar before the column letter for this because we're fixing the column in place. Before we had put the dollar before the row because we're fixing the row number in place. Press return. Take that formula there. I'll copy it down first. Shouldn't notice any difference. And now take that column there, copy it across, and that's much more like what we were after. So by the time we get to the bottom, we are looking at $G16, which is the right column this time, multiplied by K2, which is that one there. So it's working all the way across the board. And finally, for our bonus system, I'm going to add a little bit of complication. We're going to get a supplement so that every bonus ends up getting another £250 on top because we're feeling very generous. And we're going to include that inside our bonuses here. So I'm going to change that to be, put some brackets around it, and plus this figure here. Now you're probably going to guess what's going to happen. If I press return, that's okay. But of course, as I copy it across and down, it'll start moving this to column C, column D, and this as it goes down to the different row numbers. Somehow we need to keep this B1 as absolutely B1, not relatively B1. It becomes $B $1 so that it holds the row and the column at the same time, and press return, and I can copy it down to there and down to there, and there we have it. That concludes this little back to basics tutorial on Excel. I hope you enjoyed it. There's more to come in future videos, so keep an eye out for them.